call. It's no sales pitch. Like he would not pitch you to join. And this is just, if we can get anything out of it, that'll be awesome. Like, instead of taking me on a date night, just do this call with Michael.
So David thinks he's getting off easy, and he's not going to have to buy dinner. He's not going to have to go to a chick flick or anything like that. And he ends up stuck with me on this call. I got to say, you were really excited about that first call, David. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I probably couldn't have been more cold on that phone call conversation. And, Michael comes on and he's like he is today. He's excited,
David!
He's motivated, he's loud. And I think I'm like, yes, what can I do for you? And I was not open to coaching at the time. We were just a husband and wife team basically at that point, closing 40, 50 deals a year. I was content. I was okay with that, but someone wasn't okay with that. So it worked out okay. It worked out okay.
Dude, I gotta tell you, that was arguably one of the most challenging strategy sessions I've ever done, man. That was awesome. It was hilarious. But I gotta tell you, what I love about that is that essentially Sandy was like, bro, like, you gotta get out there and make more money. Mama wants a nicer car and some Louboutins, and come on, man, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the truth is, we were hustling, and we had two kids at the time,
mm-hmm.
little kids, and he was out showing homes until 8, 9 o'clock at night. He comes home so tired. He has to return phone calls, and he goes to bed for a few hours. He has to wake up and do it again. He was getting burned out. He likes to surf, golf, and do all kinds of fun guy stuff, and he didn't have time to do it. And he didn't have time for his family. So I figured something had to change.
And apparently it did. So tell us, okay, so if that's kind of where you were when you started, what was your expectation when you signed up for Club Wealth? I'm curious, because and first of all, David, I'm shocked that you did. I'm curious as to what drove you to that decision. And maybe sitting next to you.
I had no choice. I'm completely serious. I had no choice.
That's awesome. So what was your expectation when you guys signed up for Club Wealth? What was your expectation?
To grow a team, to leverage what we have learned, and grow an organization that resonates with us, our style, and get a group of like-minded people to really take on this real estate thing. And
so let me ask you this. So if that's what the expectation was, what has happened since then? Well, how is your life different today than it was that day that David first gave you the really hard time on that phone call?
Well, it's night and day difference from where we were then to where we are now. We go on vacations, and I leave my cell phone with the team members, and we just go and have a good time.
They love that, by the way.
Yeah, they don't like that too much, but it's okay.
We rotate.
But just being able to step away from the business and have it keep running itself. I think the last time we went to Taiwan, while we were gone for 10 days, we got 3 or 4 new listings, probably half a dozen closed, and new ones in escrow. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience for us, where business stopped when we went on vacation before, other than just answering the phone. So lots of time for friends and family. We hustle. We're still 24/7 when we're here. We're going. But when we need to take the time off, we're able to do that, which is amazing.
So, all right. So obviously you're making more money now, and it sounds like you're taking a lot more free time now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So listen, I'm monopolizing the questions here. I want to jump to Mike and Brian, because I know they've got questions for you guys.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit with the list of questions.
Go for it. I want to hear what you have.
You guys, thank you for doing this with us today. I really appreciate it. All of us team leaders, we're always dying to know what the secrets are. And I have a 2-part question. Number 1, how many people are on your team? And number 2, what is your dynamic in your relationship, being husband and wife? Who does what? I mean, do you guys split the responsibility? How does that dynamic work? Because I'd be really curious to see how that works properly. Did I say that right? Most people can't pull that off.
So I think it is easier for us. My parents are also a husband and wife team in real estate as well. They're super safe.
Wow, that's awesome.
And they've been married for a little over 30 years now. I think what you have to do, and they don't even do it this way, so I don't know how they function, but Sandy and I work together quite well. You have to have split responsibilities. I'm in charge of XYZ, you're in charge of ABC, and I don't step on her toes, she doesn't step on my toes, and I think it has to be that way. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of fighting and bickering. And, we have our moments where, we have a disagreement, but very, very rarely is it anything, of significance. So
he does try to tell me how to do marketing sometimes.
Well, of course, yeah. I know everything, so that's awesome. Going back to your other questions, Mike, we've got 8 buyer's agents on the team now. I'm the listing agent on my team. Sandy is the marketing director. 8 buyer's agents, and then we have 1 admin right now, and she's super, super busy. I'm working on transferring 2 of my buyer's agents to listing agents so that I can kind of step back a little bit from listings and focus a little bit more on the team and continue to grow.
That's awesome. The lead gen systems you use?
Oh, you know more about that.
Okay, so Zillow, Realtor.com, Curator has been great for us as well. I would say those are the 3 biggest ones. And then our online presence is huge. Google, Bing, Yelp, Apple Maps, you name it. If it's on the internet, we're on there with a lot of reviews.
That's amazing. So when you guys close a deal, do you have some sort of survey that goes out or some sort of phone call that goes out? Hey, will you please review these certain sites?
Yeah, we have an email template, and we've toyed with the idea of signing up for companies that do that for us. I don't think any of them are perfect, and some of them are slightly expensive, but we have an email template. But what we have found, Bjorkman, is if you wait till the end of the transaction, you have a low probability of getting that review. So when they make that phone call praising you, we love you, thank you so much, that's when you send out that email link.
That's awesome. I've heard that before. Congratulations on that. So Sandy, do you primarily work on internet presence and keeping your advertising going? I see you have a strong social media presence. Are you working on that throughout the day most of the time then, trying to keep yourselves relevant in front of people?
Yes. I stay in touch obviously a lot with Club Wealth and all you marketing gurus, latest advice and everything. I do a lot of Facebook ads, Craigslist ads. We do all. He gets a lot of listings, so I do the advertising for all of them. I get our marketing department to do the flyers. Make sure we always have flyers in our flyer box, Michael.
And it makes a difference, doesn't it?
We were horrible with that before, and Michael, every time Michael asks us, we're just like, oh, sorry, we'll get on it. But we're getting a lot better. So that's primarily my job, and engaging with people on social media. When you post a new listing, people comment on it. We get our team to engage with the leads and everything. So that's what I do.
Great job. Sounds amazing. So how many escrows are you carrying on average?
Well, last month we had our best month ever. We opened up 30 new escrows in the month of August.
Boom.
Which, thank you, which is up almost double. So usually we open up about 15, 16, 17 new escrows a month. So we just killed it last month. Opened right now, I think a lot of them have been closing already from this last month. So I'm hoping to keep that going. I like doing 30 over 15 or 16. So I'm hoping to keep it going at about 35 opened or so.
That's a really good number. And what's your average price range? And then I'll let Brian take over.
350, 340, right in there.
Gosh, I looked on the map where you guys are at. It looks like you're in a really expensive area, like right next to the water. It seems like it would be so much more than that.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of lakes around us, but the big water, the ocean, is where the money goes up. You know all about that.
Yeah. How far is it to the beach from you guys?
45 minutes to an hour.
That's
Hour
awesome.
of traffic.
That's awesome. Are you planning on expanding west at all, with maybe an expansion team or anything like that?
Yeah, I would love to eventually. So San Clemente is my future. So I love it there. So eventually, I would love to open something up in San Clemente.
He likes to surf.
Sandy,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Tricking David into
Yeah, what's the next trick?
Talking to the expansion team manager.
Exactly.
Brian, get into the nitty gritty with them.
I love it. So
guys,
go ahead, Brian.
congratulations on the escrows, and you and I have talked about that recently. So that's really, really awesome. So let's talk about a couple of things that allowed you to get there, because I feel like that's where people can really benefit from what you're doing. So if you look back 2 months ago to today, what is the one thing that you would say is most significantly different in your business?
Well, for those of you who don't know, Brian is our coach in Club Wealth.
And he's awesome.
We've had him from the beginning. Him and Michael are the reason for our success. But I would say about 2 months ago, Brian, you got me on the phone and you asked me if I was coaching or basically doing 1 hour strategy sessions with my team, with my buyer's agents. And I wasn't. We were just doing group training. And in group training is great, don't get me wrong, but a lot more comes out when you get one-on-one with people. And we really learned what everyone needs, and everyone needs something different. So we started doing one-on-one training with our agents on our team, and it has been a complete game changer. The reason we went from 16 to the 30 is we got all 8 buyer's agents producing. And when they're doing 2-3 deals, it's real easy to get to 30 transactions when you have 8 buyer's agents. So I really think that was the turning point for us.
And
Absolutely.
Before Brian's advice on focusing more on our buyer's agents, I think I was in the mindset of keep growing the team, hire new agents. And that's great and all. But we were noticing that, once you become team leaders, you really change your mindset. You really feel, and he's a coach, and his mindset is really completely different now, a year later. We just want to help those agents. We just want to help them. If they make a good income, they have flexibility in their schedule because they're on a team, they get help, they're not alone. It's just a good feeling.
Yeah.
So once we start focusing on them, instead of, saying numbers of agents that we have, keep adding it, it really starts to feel good, and everyone feel good, and they just produce more because you have more time to focus on them.
Yeah, and it's true. Really, my only goal for the team now is I just want them to be successful. That's it. If I can make every single person on my team successful, I have done my job.
Absolutely.
So
Very Zig Ziglar.
What's that, Brian?
I said very Zig Ziglar. The more people I help get what I want, they want, the more likely I am to get what I want. That's very awesome. So, go ahead, Michael.
True. Well, here's what I was going to say. I was actually, in fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna post that in the group right now. You guys will see the GIF pop up in your Facebook feeds in just a second here. But as much as I love, and by the way, I'm totally impressed with, here you've got 8 buyer's agents on the team, or 8 agents on the team, I should say now. And out of those 8 agents, now you've got essentially last month an average of 5 transactions per agent. That's insane. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And you're going to hear me say this more than Brian. I'm like, Brian, you're right in working hard on getting the people that we have on our teams producing at a higher level. And David and Sandy, you're going to hear me say it over and over and over again, just like Mr. I don't remember his name now, George Clooney in Ocean's 11. I think we need one more. It's time for one more.
So let me just say this for the record. I didn't tell them to stop recruiting agents.
No, so no, at no point were we told that. It was more, we were focusing on growing the team and not focusing on growing their transactions. So maybe we hit the pause button for a few minutes here, make them more productive, and then go back to growing.
So here's the two words that I would love to share with you, and then Brian, I'm sorry, I'll give it back to you. Here's my 2 words that I'm going to share with you guys for today. Here's me being a coach today. Both and. Instead of either or, it's not either I recruit or I develop the team. It's I recruit and I develop the team. And by developing the team, we mean developing the individuals on the team, helping them learn sales skills. Like Brian's a ninja at NLP, right? Like all that stuff that Brian does with the language of sales and how he talks to people, developing that with them, helping them close more. That's all very important. You can never, ever, 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 ever stop recruiting. But dude, I gotta tell you guys, seriously, hats off to you. Super stoked about what you've done in that short amount of time. That's insane. It really is. Go ahead, Brian.
So what I was going to ask you, David, is, we've talked about different things, but to me, and now that you've been doing this for 2 months, is it the highest and best use of your time? Because one of the things that we talk about in real estate all the time is, I call them 2200s, and that's not an accurate number, but if the concept works, is basically, can I do $20 an hour tasks, or can I do $200 an hour tasks? So developing your team, is that become the most productive and most efficient use of your time?
I think so. I mean, if for us to get to 30 escrows where it was primarily us, we would have grinded ourselves to the bone. Whereas I could spend a few hours a month helping the team, getting them what they need, and get to the same results. So I absolutely, I believe so.
Yeah, I think you've managed to create leverage in a way that most people only think about doing or dream about doing. And if anyone's out there listening who's developing a team, if you can learn one thing for me from this little thing that we're doing here today, it's that it's great to have a team, and it's great when somebody goes out and they produce all on their own and you get half the commission. That's great. But that's not what a team is about. And the number one thing, in my opinion, that you can do with a team is go out and work with them and get them better and get them better and get them better, and not be afraid that they're going to leave. And I think that that's something that everyone seems to be afraid of. Oh, I made this guy into a rock star and he left my team. Is that going to happen? Just in case anybody's wondering, yes, it's going to happen. And so stop worrying about it, accept it as a fact. But in the meantime, not everybody's going to leave, and not always your best person doesn't always necessarily leave. And here's the thing. Once I've done it once I've taught somebody to be a rock star, guess what? It's easy to teach the next person to be a rock star. And I just appreciate that you guys are really coming from that mentality of, if once I give to these people, in essence, they're giving back to me. Whatever I give out comes back to me tenfold. And I really feel like you guys are seeing it tenfold. So congratulations.
Well, let's yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about that. Oscar here in San Fernando says, what is your monthly marketing budget to keep those agents busy? And second part to that question is, how many more agents can you keep at this budget before you expand that again?
Yeah, so the team, when we broke down our profit and loss, the team cost us about $20,000 a month to run. And that's including salaries for ourselves, setting up as an S Corp, a salary for our admin as well, and then all of the different lead sources and so on and so forth. I think we're at a point now to where if we wanted to add more, we would have to add more lead sources. We want to stay within that about 40 leads a month for each buyer's agent is where we want to stay. And I think if we started adding on a few more, it would dwindle down. So
40 new leads per month, or 40 that they're handling at one time?
Yeah, 40 new leads a month.
Okay. And then what do you do with the 40 and the 40 before that? Do you let them have 120 leads that they're working with, or do you reassign those to a newer agent and let them keep their hot leads?
So our agents are pretty good about follow-up. We do use Follow Up Boss for our CRM. They keep them. All of the old, when we get new buyers agents on the team, we do give them some of the old leads to try to convert and get them used to being on the phone and talking and getting all the jitters out. But for the most part, they do keep them. If it's assigned to them, we let them keep them, because I mean, we're converting stuff from a year, 2 years ago, so might as well keep them in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's totally normal. All right, so next part, what are you guys doing to recruit? And if you were to hire 3-4 more agents next week, what platform would you go after? Would you go after Realtor.com and Zillow and increase your budget there? Or would you try Ylopo, Commissions Inc., bump up your curator ads? What would you do for that?
I've been thinking about bumping up.
Ylopo lover.
Yeah. I would be potentially open to Ylopo. Sunit has been praising Realtor.com, so I might expand our Realtor.com a little bit as well. But those are probably, Ylopo and Realtor.com are probably the two that we'd go after most. But at the end of the day, I just got to get more listings. If I can get more listings, the listings create the buyers. And that's the best way to get more buyers, is just to get more listings. So if you could just focus on listings, the buyers will come.
Yeah, just Brian, since you're on the call, I've had Ylopo now for about 90 days. The first 60 days were really rough, and now all of a sudden the floodgates are opening, and we're doing really well with it. Not at the point where we're going to quit sync yet, but we're finally, Ylopo is like really starting to crank now for us. I don't know if it was a SEO thing or what, but it was. So it's working for everybody we know. All right, so. How many listings are you carrying, and where are they coming from? I'm a listing agent too. Well, Tammy is on my team, and she gets the listings for us. For me right now, it seems like they're a little bit of everything. One might be a Facebook lead, one might be a referral, one might be a sphere, one might be a community outreach from a nonprofit or something like that. Are you focusing on one thing to get leads, or are they just kind of coming from everywhere now, and you're just jamming, and the momentum just can't stop at some point, right?
Exactly. Business snowballs in real estate. So as you do more and more and more business, it keeps coming from all angles. Online presence, I would say, is our number one source. If you're looking for a realtor in Menifee, California, we're going to pop up all over the place.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. Do you compete with your parents?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now I would imagine you're teaching them all the new tricks, right?
Yeah.
Like, Dad, you do this wrong. I can't believe you're such a dinosaur. You need to be doing this and that. I could only imagine Thanksgiving over at your house.
It's pretty fun. It's a healthy competition.
His parents are very Mike Ferry. They're very the old school,
Right.
and so sometimes they get into healthy debates like what works better. But
I'll give you my number one script for your dad then. So I compete against top Mike Ferry agents every day. And I always say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I can appreciate the fact your agent is telling you the only thing that matters is the price. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say I did a Facebook ad, an open house, or possibly put you in Google AdWords. If just one of those things, we'd create a sale in the first 7 to 10 days instead of waiting for an agent to just stumble by 30 days later. If I could get you 3 to 5% more than that agent, would it be worth it to list with me instead of an agent that doesn't do any marketing? And if so, let me ask you this question. Are they charging you a full commission for doing only a tenth of what they should be doing? Do the right thing like all my clients and just say thank you very much and let me cancel that appointment, or let me explain to them that we have a great house for them to bring their buyers if they so happen to find one.
Love it.
What I love is with your dad, you don't really need to worry about him becoming much in the way of competition, because the reality is there's a limit on how many phone calls he can personally make every single day. So he's only going to be able to capture so much market share. And you could definitely bank on you're going to be doing a lot more volume than he will be long term. So, which you already are. But
and that's what they want. Your parents always want the kids to do better than they did, so they're very supportive. It's a friendly competition, but it is a competition. Trust me.
Well, speaking of competition, shout out to Christian Stone, another ground pounder. I got to hit that phone as hard as I possibly can, guy. Tell him next time you see Christian, say, "Hey, Christian, so what was your dollars per hour last quarter?" I'm just curious. Like, let's look at actual dollars per hour instead of let's look at what our volume is based on the rest of our team. So you guys are crushing it. Keep it up.
Christian's a good guy. We just got to he just needs to hire someone to do the phone calls for him.
Yeah, we'll get with Christian one of these days. We'll help him see beyond the phone.
Christian says 588.
He's watching closely.
Christian, I love it. That's hilarious. Dude, here's the thing, Christian. There's life on the other side of cold calls. I promise you, man. There's a better life to be had. The last 15 years of my career. What's that?
He lives a pretty good life. Trust me.
Oh, I see it. I've seen him buy. You got a bunch of new toys too, man. It's all the toys.
Oh yeah.
Let me just tell you, Christian, this one's for you, brother. Just know this. When you can do 100+ transactions a month and work 12 days a month, you'll know you've grown beyond cold calls. So that's where life is at. So, Brian, you had something to add. Go ahead.
I do. So, David, as you talk about, I appreciate that you actually look at your numbers. I think it's super important that you do. And, Mike asked about the cost to add a new agent. I think it's an important thing to understand, and it's something that you and I have talked about. So, realistically, how much of your costs are fixed? And what I mean by that is, so you've got a transaction coordinator, you've got an admin, you've got all of these fixed costs. You're going to have platforms in place. You're going to have your CRM in place no matter what. So those are fixed costs. Like, it doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost any more money to add another agent for that. So do you have a feel for what it costs to add an agent a month? Because I think that's an important number. And if anyone's not paying attention to that, sometimes they're like, well, my costs are $10,000 a month, and I've got 4 agents. That means if I add another agent, it's another $2,500 a month. But that's not true, because you have fixed costs whether you have 1 agent or 15 agents. So, what realistically does it cost for you guys to add an agent? And, for you?
I looked at that number. I think it's about $1,000.
So, yeah. And, realistically, if you get them doing 2 transactions a month, what's that worth to you guys?
$8,000.
Okay. So that's a pretty good ROI.
So here's the thing you got to keep in mind about that too, Brian, because I see a lot of buyer's agents maybe or agents on teams maybe watching this thinking, well, gosh, if they're only providing me $1,000 a month in value, that's not the reality. The reality is there's all this hard cost that you have to just have a team that's there, whether you have 1 person or you have 20 people. And what happens is, think of it like a co-op with farmers, right? Farmers go out nowadays and, they got to have these literally $1 million combines that harvest the wheat, for example. And Joe Farmer that's got his one little farm, he can't afford $1 million combine. So what does he do? He gets together with all the neighboring farmers. They go out, they together buy the $1 million combine, and they co-op that combine. They all get to use it, and they take turns using it, and they all get more production out of their farms. So really, this is exactly like a real estate team, right? Everybody here is getting leverage. It's not just the team leader that's getting leverage. In fact, the team leader takes all the risk, but everybody else is getting that same, if not more, leverage, because they, without taking any risk, now get to benefit from the $1 million combine and all the other tools, technology, and systems and support staff and everything that goes in with having a team. Talk to that, guys.
Thank you, Michael.
But I mean, it's true. It's hard running a team, right? I mean, it's and don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from running a team or anything like that. There's some great benefits in running a team, but I will say this: that a buyer's agent on the right team, and there's a difference. And Brian, you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. There's a lot of teams out there that think that being a team is, oh, I've got these agents and we split commissions 50-50. That's not a freaking team, right? That's just 2 dysfunctional agents feeding off one another, right? And so really, though, if I'm building a true team and I've built value for my team and we've got the culture in the team that really helps each and every person achieve synergy with one another and grow beyond what we can alone, right? Where 1 + 1 really does equal 11. That is a team. That's a very different world. And to get to that level is very difficult for the team leader. Now, the buyer's agents, it's actually very easy for a buyer's agent or a listing agent to come into a team in that scenario, benefit from that right off the bat, and make a ton of money with no overhead and no risk. And so, I just think for the vast majority of agents out there that want to be able to just get out there and start making a good, solid six-figure, maybe $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year in commission income with no expenses, being a member on a team is a great way to go, because you can just step right in, hit the ground running, and all you got to do is follow up and go on appointments and write transactions up. I mean, that's a pretty good gig.
It is. Can we talk about for a minute, if I can bug in here? Just lately, our team is starting to do more together. We're having call nights and hikes together and things like that. And this culture is really coming a long way. The team is starting to rely on each other, count on each other, feel they can go to each other. And are you guys doing anything now that you're up to the same size, 8 buyers agents? Are you doing anything like that? Bonding night, anything that you can help us say, hey, this has worked really well?
Yeah, really, the more you do together, the better your team's going to do. I think our last function was bowling night, and that was a lot of fun. Later this month, we've got a dinner set up at a nice restaurant in downtown Temecula for the team members and spouses. So yes, absolutely. The more you do together, the better your team's going to do.
What are you guys doing for your huddles and your weekly meetings?
So 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, we have our 25, 30-minute huddle. And then I'm meeting with them individually twice a month, doing the one-on-one. And then we have
we don't have
our group training. Yeah, our group training is more twice
every month.
Twice a month or every other week.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a training, not a meeting for escrows and all that.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
A little training, a little agent of the month, and little lunch sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. That's really awesome. What about the requirements to be on your team? So is there like 2 open houses a month? Do you have to bring in 1 deal a month? What requirements do they have to be on your team besides, adamant follow-up and daily huddle?
Yeah, so we like them to do 4 open houses a month. Now we realize once they get to a certain point of showing a lot of homes that's not possible. But if you're not busy, we would love you to do 4 open houses a month. 2 deals a month is our requirement. The 7 a.m. daily huddle is a big one, and everyone's there for that. And I talk to a lot of other coaches, and they always say, oh, I have a hard time getting everyone on. I don't know, maybe I just have a really good group because everyone's always on there. So that's pretty great. Anything else?
I think most importantly, we want our team members to be positive. If you have one constant negative energy, your team just won't thrive on that. So I think we've come to our team changed over the period of time, and right now we have a really good group. Everyone cheer each other on and help each other out, and we make a lot of jokes. We try not to take ourselves too seriously sometimes, and everyone takes jokes pretty well because they're on David's team.
Yeah, you have to. I think one more thing, Bjorkman, that's been huge for us, and I think a lot of people that work from home, I think that's fine. I think that's great. But being at the office, I feel, is the most productive time. So obviously we can't make it mandatory that you're in the office, but we like to see everyone in the office for at least 2-3 hours a day doing their follow-ups. And any leads that slip through to any buyer leads that slip through to my phone, I give them out to anybody who's in the office with us. So it's a little extra incentive to be there with us. And they're hearing us talk, they're hearing us negotiate. So it's a great learning environment. Whereas if everyone's spread out or at home, you don't get that.
So I want to jump on the daily huddle just for a second here. So this is a very, very big deal. And what I'm hearing is that it's been a big deal for your team as well. Is that right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what would your advice be to agents out there right now that are concerned about, will I be able to get my agents on a daily huddle? And is it really that important? And are people going to quit my team because I'm asking them to do this every morning at 7 or 7:30 in the morning or whatever? What would your advice be to those agents?
Well, if they're going to quit the team over a daily huddle, then I would say bye. I would. If they're going to, snark at that, imagine what else they're going to put up with you. So I wouldn't worry about that. The bad will filter out, the good will filter in. So you got to lead by example, though. You absolutely have to lead by example. And I don't remember who it was, but to be a good team leader, I feel like you have to been there, done that. You have to be successful. In my opinion, you have to be successful on your own first before you can become a team leader and have people follow you. I'm not sure if it was Brian or Bjorkman asked earlier what we do to recruit. People seek us out. They see our culture and they want to be on our team. So we don't have to do a lot of recruiting. When we do, we post Facebook ads and we get pretty good response from that. But if you lead by example,
you attract the right people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. It's like Brian. Brian doesn't do. And Brian, in fairness to you, there's a reason why you don't have to work really hard to recruit. The reason is because people really want to be on your team. And, the people that are there are rock stars. You're good at getting rid of the cancers, which is really important, right? If you keep cancers on your team, you lose the good ones. So as soon as you recognize that somebody's a cancer on your team, you plain got to get rid of them. They got to be gone right now. And when you do that, we just had a team leader that you guys all know that recently had 8 of his buyer's agents leave his team. And what's interesting is that was 3 months ago, and without adding a single agent, he had his best month ever in this month. I'm sorry, I should say last month, in the last 30 days. Why? Because all of his agents got more productive when you got rid of the cancers. They were all excited to be on the huddles. They were all excited to be a part of the team, part of the meetings. They were sharing. They were encouraging one another. They were supporting. And everybody caught the fever and just went out and did a great job. So, Brian, talk to us about your experience with that. You've been through some ups and downs with your teams, and you've experienced, kind of both sides of it. What are your thoughts?
I actually would echo that. So people leaving is never an issue. I had my number one guy leave, did 58 transactions in a year. He left. I almost had a coronary. I thought my business was over and it was all going to fall apart. But the reality is our team got better and stronger after that. And, sometimes you have those really strong personalities who aren't necessarily bad people, but they're strong personalities, and they do things like, well, I think we should have a huddle 2 days a week instead of 5 days a week, or I think we should do this, and I think we should do that. And here's the thing, I want everybody to come to me and give me suggestions, but when you make suggestions that are contrary to our culture in front of everybody else, it becomes challenging. So those are the things that, I think can often be beneficial, is just there's room. And, here's the thing, I would love to tell you that real estate is extremely complicated, that it's really hard to do, that it's not. So once you've trained one person to close 5, 6, 7 transactions a month, as long as you have someone who buys into your culture, who likes your ideas, who's willing to do the work, you can teach them too. Nothing that we do requires a PhD. So, if you are willing to learn, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to just show up, T. Harv Eker says 80% of life is simply showing up. And, I believe that. Most people don't bother to show up. Michael or David was alluding to that earlier. It's like, yes, sometimes people don't want to come to the office. And again, my people don't necessarily come to the office. I don't have a place to put them. But nonetheless, they show up on the phone calls. They show up on our team meetings. So 80% of life is showing up. The rest of it, you can figure out how to do. It's not that hard. So let me ask you a quick question, David, because this is something that's I think is important. Control. What are the things that you felt like you had to give up control of to help you become successful? Because I think that's one of the things that most agents don't want to do. I want to be in charge of everything, but when they realize is they can't be in charge of everything. So what are the things that you guys feel like you had to? And
Brian,
I'm sorry.
How you asked David about that.
So I've
David. That applies to David too, Sandy.
Yeah. So running a team, obviously, you do have to give up a lot of control. It's not an easy thing to do because your reputation is at stake. If they mess up, it's basically it's on you. since becoming a coach, I have
With Club Wealth.
with Club Wealth, I have been able to give up much more control, much easier. Sandy is still working on it. It's a struggle for her, but for me, what did I have to give up control of? Everything. I train your people and have faith that they're going to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, everything is a good answer, I think. Obviously, there's a couple questions like Sylvia Berlin said, what do you have to do to get to 40, 50 transactions a year? And if you basically hire your first admin and give up complete control of your files, it's amazing. You just blink your eyes and get to 50 deals. I think 50 deals is about what one person and an assistant can do before you get your first, second buyer's agent. And if I look back and think of the number one thing, it's those files. You want to give such great customer service and you don't want your admin to say the wrong thing. And it's so hard. That transition is ridiculous, but that is the key to get to your first 50. Hire that admin, give away everything, and say, do not bother me unless you're stuck. There's plenty of people, broker assistant, ask those people, then think of 2 or 3 solutions and then come to me. And then surely, but the weeks go by and less and less and less, and then you're sitting around going, now what do I do? Well, I might as well pick up this phone and do what I was hired to do, find buyers for my listings, right? And then boom, and then it happens. And then to the next level, from that 50 to 100, you have to stop picking houses out for your buyer's agents to show. You have to make sure, like you say, have a system in place that trains them to where you can release some of that. And I look back 2 or 3 years ago and I knew every listing we had, I knew every escrow we had. And now today, when I get a call on a sign, if somehow they get my cell phone, I'm like, and I think that's a certain sense of, success is letting go of that control, and you're going, hey, okay, that's how we can go to now from 150 sales this year to 200 and then on and on. And, I think I'm going to start listening to Brian a heck of a lot more, because it seems like, he's wearing his sunglasses on his head. He can't wait to get off this call and go golf.
I ruined my back. I screwed my back up. So.
Oh. Okay, so by the way, before I forget, for those of you that are watching right now live, we got a lot of people watching. Make sure that you comment in the Facebook thread right now with your questions for David, Sandy, Mike, Brian, myself. Go ahead and comment right now on whatever questions you have for us, things you'd like to add. And we will literally answer those questions live on the video right now. I will also say that whoever asks the best question, as always, we will give you 5 entries into our Hawaiian vacation giveaway drawing. We give away a really awesome trip to Hawaii every year. That's given away at the Business Strategy Mastermind Conference, which is coming up in November. And everybody that's on the call right now is going to be at that event. And if you aren't, you are going to miss out. You definitely want to be at that event. We are so confident that you will believe that that is the very best event you've ever attended in real estate, that we will literally give you 200% of your ticket price back by the end of the second day if you don't agree that it's the best event you've ever been to. Now, that being said, you'd have to leave at that point. You don't get to stay. But I'll tell you this, nobody's ever asked for their money back. So definitely, I see Natasha just put that in the thread, the link for that event. It's going to sell out. We have well over 3 times as many people sign up this year as we did last year at this time. So we're very excited about that. All right, so we're talking about letting go of control. We're talking about delegation, and there's 3 things that you have to do, right? First of all, you've got to automate everything you can in your business. Then you've got to delegate everything you can in your business. Then you've got to eliminate everything you can in your business that's not necessary. So I'd like to hear about, we've talked a little bit about delegation and about some of the things you guys have delegated. What processes have you guys automated, and what things have you eliminated from your business?
So it's funny that you say that, and I believe it was Bjorkman on stage at BSM last year, and that was probably the single best thing that I took away from BSM last year was...
I love you.
Yeah.
Would you please not make his head there? Seriously, you have no idea. Like, I'm going to hear about this the rest of the week. Thank you.
It resonated with me, so we really came back and sat down and looked at our business and said, okay, these are the 3 options. Where do they fall? And the delegate and the automate and eliminate, it's powerful stuff. And if you could sit down in your business and figure out what you can do to automate, it's unreal. So for our lead sources, there's a lot of automation going on right now. We use Agent Legend, which has been great for automating a lot of responses and getting a lot of responses back. Eliminating the lead sources that were not being productive or that were just a waste of time. Delegating is a huge thing. Just like you guys were saying before, give a lot of the admin stuff to the admin. Give it to the TC. Let them take it from start to finish. And it takes so much off your plate. And going back to the question before, how do you get to 40 to 50 transactions? What Bjorkman said was great. What I would add to that is treat real estate like it's a 8 to 5 or an 8 to 4 job. I mean, 40, if you sit down and you put 40 hours a week into it, starting out, and I'm not saying at the very end, that's where you want to be, but to get to that point to where you're doing 40 to 50 transactions a year, you've got to treat it like it's a full-time job. And you see a lot of people getting into this business, maybe working 20 hours a week. Oh, why am I not successful? But treat it like a business, and it will be a business.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny you say that. We just had one of our guys that decided that his time was up on our team, and I looked at the numbers for this guy today, and in the last 30 days, he has worked an average of 2 hours per day.
Yeah.
And I looked at his hourly income, and on an hourly basis, he was making, I think it was like $39 an hour or something like that, which frankly isn't that bad, right? So here's a guy that's making $39 an hour, and he's worked 2 hours a day. It's like, dude, if you want to make more money, show up, right? You've got to show up. You got to do the deal. I can't fix lazy. I can't fix I don't want to work full time. You've got to make a decision that you're serious enough about your career to treat it like a business, or treat it like a full-time job. It's funny. I love it whenever I've had someone that I'm working with that's maybe not in this industry, but they've come to me for advice or whatever, and they're unemployed. So the first thing I always tell them is, are you treating your job search like a full-time job? How many hours a day are you out looking for a job? And how many people do you think are really out spending 8 hours a day looking for a job? Like none, nobody. And you wonder why you're broke. You want to change your situation in life, you got to change what you're doing in life. If you want to change the outcome, you got to change the action, because you can only choose one or the other. You can choose the action or the consequence, but not both, right? I can put my hand on that hot stove, but I know I'm going to get burned. So if I don't want to get burned, I got to choose not to touch it. Anyway, there's my soapbox for the day. Mike and Brian, what do you got for these guys?
Sorry, I'm taking so many good notes, it's ridiculous.
Mike's like, I need to start searching for a full-time job.
Yeah. What happens when we do these, anytime you're a coach, a trainer, a speaker, an author, anything, the more you do it, the more you learn yourself. So 3 or 4 things have come up here going, man, these are things that I said or I wanted to implement, weeks ago. Agent Legend, I promised myself I'd do this a month ago, and I still haven't done it. So I'm sitting there going, yelling at myself on Evernote, trying to get all organized here. And then I really don't want to ignore Jared Moston, maybe that's how you pronounce it. He had a great question. My first 30 days and my budget is 0. What do you recommend? And I'm writing that down as a class, and I'm going to do a podcast on it next week, because a lot of people ask that question, and it's one of the things we haven't done yet. And I know I don't want to veer off the subject too much, but if you guys wouldn't mind answering that, maybe as a group, we can go around and I can take some notes for my podcast, because I think it's a great one. And I think it will be helpful, because sometimes we forget there's agents on these calls and watching this that don't have teams yet and need to do a few things to get to that point. So I always like to cater to some of the beginner agents as well on these calls.
Okay, so new agent, 30 days, 0 money. That's the question?
Yeah, he's asking, what would you do if we went back in time and started with 0, knowing what you know now? And I think that's a powerful question.
I'll tell you exactly what we did, because we started with $0 in the first 30 days.
And newborn baby.
Yeah, and a newborn. So We had to produce. So every single review site that's out there for free, I mentioned them at the beginning of the call, get on Google, Yelp, Bing, Yahoo, Apple Maps. I mean, pretty much if it's a source that you could sign up for free and to get reviews to, get it. Have all your friends and family review you. We started off with a very small Zillow budget. I don't know if today it would be as productive as it was 2 years ago. It seems like the rich are getting richer on Zillow, and it's hard for new agents getting on. So I don't know if I'd have them go there, but we pounded the street. So open houses and door knocking. Sandy and I, we would go together and we would be relentless and we would just do it until we got business. So
yeah, we went door knocking. He's the talker. I'm the innocent looking one. So people will open the door.
Yeah, no one's going to answer the door if it's just me there. So you bring a pretty girl with you. That helps.
That's awesome. So, okay, so I want to jump to another comment. And actually, let me back up. The open house thing. You guys, too often, too many agents think, oh, open houses, that's weak. That's not a great source of business. Or I don't want to do open houses, blah, 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 whatever. They all whine about it, right? I mean, we have a common friend in David Serpa, of course, everybody knows David. And David, at one point in his career, was literally he did his second year in business. He did $650,000 in GCI, almost entirely from open houses. And he wasn't even using the massive open house model yet. Imagine what he could have done if he was using the massive open house model, where we're getting 50 to 150 people out to open houses. In fact, Natasha, if you could post the link to that blog post in.
Just going to say that. That's one of the best blog posts ever. I use it all the time with training my agents.
Oh, and it's easy. It's not even hard to do. That's the thing. It kills me. It's like, if I'm going to go sit in a freaking house for 3 or 4 hours or 2, whatever, however long I'm going to be there, if I'm going to go sit there for this period of time, I'm going to darn well make sure I get as many prospects through that open house as fast as I can. So I want to make sure that I'm following the whole massive open house blog post. It's on clubwealth.com. Natasha's going to post it. But essentially,
it is the number one thing. I mean, for reals. I mean, if I look back when I was, 18 years old in my open houses, I'd pick up 1 to 2 buyers a weekend, period, even if I did Saturday and Sunday. And I'd usually pick up at least 1 listing. And then that's 3 closings for that month or for the next month. And then you do another one the next week and another one the next week. And even if you only got 1 lead per weekend that was hot and ready to buy or sell now, that's 4 a month in your next couple of months. And then that momentum that we were talking about in the beginning builds and builds and builds. And then those couple signs bring another couple signs, and those couple buyers refer you a couple buyers. I mean, just it's the ultimate way to get started. And that's why I'm so passionate about open houses. I just cannot. It's basically free. You can do a great job without spending money, but if you do spend, a couple $100 at it, oh man, boy, does that get better and better and better. And I mean, sometimes when I watch my Commissions Inc. or one of those bills go through on my debit card, I just go, oh man, I wonder what kind of open houses we could have had for that. So, I mean, I know people that spend $10,000, $20,000 on realtor.com and Zillow leads. And I'm like, man, just wonder if I wanted to take over a mile by mile geographical farm with 20 grand a month, what you could do.
Well, that's just, and you're
just thinking out loud.
But that's the thing. It's not even that hard, and that's what blows me away. Comes all the way full circle back to the whole show up, right? If I show up and I want to do some open houses, I can make a ton of money. Now, the advantage to doing that when I'm on a team is now I have somebody else doing all the back end work, all the transaction coordination, all the other stuff that's got to be done with all the transactions that come from that, and enabling me and empowering me to be just focused on those open houses. But at the end of the day, open houses are absolutely fantastic. Now, I want to jump to a different topic. We're running out of time. And Christine Judas Sparks asks a great question. Christine asks, I've approached multiple agents to be on my team. They've all declined. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Any advice on how to attract a decent agent, ideally 2, for the buyer agent role? So I'll put it out to all you guys.
I guess my question back would be, what are you doing now? And people join your team because of value. So just like getting sellers and buyers to work with you, they're only going to work with you if you show them your value. So I would say work on demonstrating your value to them and what you're going to be able to bring to their table.
Yeah. And I'm going to piggyback that a little bit. So David stole a little bit of my thunder, but I think that's really what it comes down to. So, what are you offering? I see a lot of people, and I see teams all over the country. And I was speaking to somebody this morning who was telling me about a team that they were on. And basically, he told me he brought 12 sellers from his sphere to the team. The team paid him 10% for those. And they didn't give him 12 leads in a month. So, what's the purpose of being on your team? If it's not a win-win-win, you're doing it wrong. And I don't know exactly what that formula is for every single person, but it has to be a win-win-win. So, what's my unique selling proposition? If I'm sitting in front of a seller, why am I better than somebody else? If I'm sitting in front of a potential buyer agent, a potential listing agent, why is it better to be on your team than it is to be on another team? If you can't answer that question with a bunch of multiple points, then it's not better to be on your team. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't care how good you are, simply your wisdom and knowledge of real estate is not worth half of my commission. I don't care how good you are.
Yeah, right. Christine, there's been a lot of discussion about that in the Club Wealth group on Facebook. I would go back and search some of the conversations because I've found some amazing conversations on that topic. Because what I was trying to do is put a presentation together on why you'd want to join my team. Leads, training, hand-holding, culture, daily huddles, whatever it is on that presentation you want to make. So when somebody says, hey, Mike, I'm considering joining your team, why would I? Well, here's 5 main reasons that our team is better than the others. Are any of these important to you? Well, 4 or 5, yeah, okay. Let me work on that. And you don't have to be this super huge mega agent. You just have to know where the resources are. I'm highly connected with Club Wealth. We follow the top agents in there. I'll introduce you. I'll hold your hand. I'll train you. And I'll show you what made me get where I am today. And I have relationships with agents across the country, and they're training, and I know where all the classes are. There's a lot of different things. You don't have to be a mega agent. When I first got my first buyer's agent, I was like, 30, 40 deals, and that was it. And I said, I have too many leads. I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to train you. And it doesn't have to be a new agent. It's all about personality style. Some people just work better on a team.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize we were out of time. Sorry to babble.
No. That's okay. That was good stuff. And by the way, we are out of time. And I see that there's a lot more questions in the thread here that we're not going to be able to get to. But I do want to remind you guys to what Mike just mentioned. Go make sure you're in the Facebook group, the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind group. A lot of great conversation in there. We're very careful to make sure that nobody's spamming in there, that there's no bad, like if somebody comes out with some stupid, suggestion on, go out and stand on the street corner in a chicken suit with an I love Bjorkman sign and you're going to make more money. Seriously, whatever it is, like we just delete that crap, right? We want to make sure that when you're in that group that it's positive content and that you're going to get value out of it. But that being said, get in there. If you haven't already, get in there, join that group. And David, go for it.
Yeah, just to end the phone call, I want to call Bjorkman out. I sent him a Facebook friend request probably 4 or 5 months ago. I'm still waiting, bro. I'm still waiting.
All I know is Sandy's my friend.
I know. Everyone wants to be Sandy's friend. No one wants to be mine.
No, here's the reality. I'm sorry, but we are only allowed to have 4,000 or 5,000 of those. And usually what I do is I go through every day and delete people on their birthdays. And that's the easiest way to do it. And something has to happen like right now. So I just deleted somebody this morning. So I was able to add you. So there you go. And I'm sorry, man. I love you and you're the man. See, friends.
Right, that being said, we're out of time. So we're going to go to final thoughts. We're going to start with Mr. Mike Bjorkman, then go to Brian Curtis, then David and Sandy, then back to me.
My final thought is I'm going to be able to look at agents in the face today and say, this is a market that you can still double your business in a matter of a couple of months based on making a few adjustments. Number 1, hiring Brian Curtis as your coach. Number 2, believing in the system. And you know what? Number 3, just being super dedicated and positive about it. Because when I hear somebody goes from 15 to 30 escrows in 30 days, I mean, my heart melts. I'm like, God, see, there is hope, because I have 250 agents that work for me and they come to me in tears every day. I'm like, hey, you guys need to be on these to watch this and see that it's possible. So that's my takeaway. I'm just going to pump more agents up today and do what I'm supposed to do.
Love it. Brian.
Well, Mike, thanks for the shout out. I appreciate that. But here's my takeaway from the day, and we didn't necessarily even go into it, but one of the things, how do you go from where David and Sandy were a year ago to where David and Sandy are today? One of the things that we didn't talk about, but I was remembering it, is David and Sandy did a lot of the things that David and Sandy didn't want to do. So, there's a roadmap out there, guys, and if you want to follow the roadmap, sometimes some of those things are not fun. Somebody told me the other day, and I love this, and I keep saying it: success is boring. But you know what? I'd rather show up in my Rolls Royce successful and a little bit bored than showing up in my Pinto and really excited. So, be wherever you're at. But my point is that, a lot of the stuff, everybody who's successful every single day does stuff that they don't necessarily want to do, but they know it's that stuff that gets them over the top. So I applaud you guys for doing that stuff.
Awesome. David and Sandy.
You stole my thunder, Brian. So I was going to say, if you want to double your income, treat your business like a business, hire a coach with Club Wealth, and do what they tell you to do. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all we did.
So essentially take the phone call that Sandy tricks you into and then actually sign up for Club Wealth Coaching, do the deal, and you too will be successful. Now, I got to say, you hit the nail on the head, both you and Brian, with the whole, it doesn't work unless you work it. It only works when you do the stuff that sometimes you don't want to do, like taking the phone call, like picking up the phone and dialing for dollars. And I'm not talking about cold calls and all that. Last 15 years of my career, I didn't do a single cold call. But what I'm talking about is you have to get in action on a daily basis in one way or another. And you have to do that consistently every single day. And when you're very consistent about that, and you take time off so that you can sharpen the saw, and then you focus on those days that you're focused at work, the magic happens. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes persistence. It takes tenacity. And, to Brian's point, you don't have to be excited about it. You don't have to be Michael Hellickson. Check me out, right? You don't have to be that guy, right? You could be who you are, but you have to be in action. And so that being said, my suggestion to all of you watching this right now, if you haven't done so already, you need to go to our website, get signed up for a free strategy session where it's not with a salesperson. It's literally with one of our coaches that sells more real estate than you do. And we'll literally look at your business and what's working and what's not working and give you tips on, for the next 12 months, here's what you need to do. Here's your roadmap for the next 12 months. And if all you did was just follow that roadmap, your income will go up. You'll have a better life in the process. So that being said, David and Sandy, cannot thank you enough for being with us here on Club Wealth TV. Super appreciate you guys. David, we love you as a Club Wealth coach as well. Super appreciate that. You bring a lot of value to a lot of people in your life. Mike and Brian as well. You guys, cannot thank you enough for doing this. Listen, everybody watching this, here's my final parting thought, and that is that inside each one of you, there is a world-class beast just dying to get out. But you got to choose to unleash that beast. You got to decide that you're going to take action today, not tomorrow, today, that you're going to just do it, right? As Shia LaBeouf would say. You just got to get out there and you just got to freaking do it and decide that for once and for all, today I'm going to do something world class. I'm going to take care of somebody. I'm going to treat somebody better. I'm going to make somebody's day. I'm going to improve somebody's life. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to make a call. I'm going to get a client, and I'm going to close the transaction. You guys, we love you. Have an awesome day. And again, remember, you are world class.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.